Hare Krishna. Thank you, all of you, for coming online today evening. We are meeting, I think many of you, I can see Sangeet Sinha, Shrishti, I can see all of you here. So I'm happy you're all online. I'm remembering, I think we are meeting after a long time, almost more than a year, many of you. But I have been taking classes on Sundays. And today, for this special program organized by the Sevak Coordinator team, my heartfelt thanks to them. And they have given me a very nice topic, power and joy of spirituality. And I'm happy to share with you briefly 5 subjects I will discuss with you. And then we can have some questions if we have time. So I would like to first discuss with you what exactly is spirituality. Secondly, why or what is not spirituality. Then we will briefly understand why should we practice spiritual path. And fourth, the benefits of a spiritual practice. And last, how do we do it? How do we practice spirituality? So these 5, each one of them is a 2-hour seminar in itself. But I'll briefly speak on these 5 topics, and then we can have, if we have time, we can have some questions. So first, what is spirituality? Spirituality means spirit. Spirit. Spiritual is coming from the word spirit. Spirit means not liquor or sharab, that is also called spirit. Spirit means that which is opposite of matter. What you're seeing now around you is matter. This laptop of mine is matter. This table is matter. This body is material, matter. Everything is made of matter. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego. This is all matter, perishable. But beyond all of this, paras tasmatu bhavonyo vyakto vyaktat sanatana yahasa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyat suna vinashyati. Beyond all this perishable, the Bhagavad Gita says, there is something which doesn't perish. Nashyat su na vinashyati. सब कुछ नाश होता है, पर कुछ तो ऐसा है जिसका नाश नहीं होता है. अविनाशी तो तद्विद्धि येन सर्वम इदम ततम विनाशम अव्ययस्यास्य न कश्चित् परम. So there is something that doesn't end. There is something which is deathless within all of us. So spiritual path or a spiritual practice is that which is connecting us to that eternal space. That is spirituality. So we have our daily life, we have your office, your family, your job, so many things you are doing. All of this that we are doing from morning to night is concerned with our material life, with our responsibilities and our family and our relatives and our work. But there is an aspect to our existence which will continue even if everything that we're attached to is perished. So, how much time do we spend in that space? That will determine how spiritual you are. A person is called spiritual to the extent he is connected to the divinity within, that which is endless, that which is eternal, that which doesn't die when the body and things connected to the body start perishing. So that is a simple understanding of spiritual. Now, what is not spirituality? Now, spirituality is not a life of extremism. There are some people who say, okay, I'm spiritual now, to hell with everything of this world. For they live in the denial of the world. And there are other people, you know what they do? They say, no, this world and its problems are completely overwhelming me. I just want to live in this world and my problems, my anxieties. And they can't get over themselves, right? So they are the other extreme. So spirituality is not a life of extremes. Spirituality is a life of balance, where we understand that I am part of this world and I have my attachments and responsibility of this world, but I also want to spend some time in a space beyond this world. Otherwise, if I live only in the outer world, then I become very harsh, very hard-hearted, very indifferent to the suffering of this world. And if I get too attached to the problems and complexities of this world, I get sucked into a quicksand and I suffer endlessly. So therefore, spirituality is not extremism. So these are two topics we briefly discussed. What is spirituality and what is not spirituality? Spirituality means exploring the eternal or deathless aspect of our existence, something that is anti-matter, opposite of matter. That is spiritual. And what is not spiritual? It is not spiritual to give up everything, all material responsibilities, and absorb in spiritual activity, or give up spiritual activity and absorb ourselves completely in material activity. This is not spirituality. Spirituality means basically the idea of balance. So these are the two aspects or the two topics we have discussed. Because Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna very clearly, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhya cha mayarpita mano buddhir. Krishna says, in every time, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, har kaal mein, mam anusmara, mera smaran karo, mam anusmara yudhya cha, or yudhya karo. Means we have to fulfill our responsibilities and also remember Krishna. So this is spirituality, and we have discussed what is not spirituality. Now we will briefly discuss, why do we need to practice a spiritual path? Why not just be busy with what we are doing now? Now, I would like to say two or three things on this point. Why we need to practice spiritual? Because when we enter a world of eternity, divinity, we are exploring infinite possibilities of a happy and more effective and productive life. See, the first point is like this. Why we need to practice spiritual path? The first point is because we are not animals. Simple. Animals cannot practice spiritual life. If we advertise this program, The Power and Joy of Spirituality, no dogs of Borivali, Kandivalli will enroll. No animals will come for this class. Because animals lack the ability to inquire about higher truths. Human beings can rise beyond ahara, nidra, bhaya, and maithun. Eating, sleeping, sex life, and defending. These four activities are common to human beings as well as animals. They are what both humans and animals do. But human beings have the additional quality of seeking. They can ask questions. They can explore. They can introspect. They have a conscience. They have self-awareness. They have determination. And their imagination, ability to visualize a better future. This makes human beings very special, most evolved of all species. Just take a simple example. In nature, we have all animals being gifted with so many abilities, isn't it? We see a leopard is fleet-footed. We see a tortoise has a hard shell. We see a chameleon can change color. We have seen animals have the ability to survive in this world. They all have been bestowed with some unique, special ability or strength. But human being is not agile and fast like the leopard. He doesn't have a hard shell like the tortoise, or he may not be strong like the lion. But still, you'll see, a tiny human being can engage a ferocious lion or tame a wild elephant. So what does a human being have which animals don't have? He has superior intelligence. He has the ability to seek something higher. Animals are also intelligent. If you see, animals also have intelligence for eating, sleeping, sex life, and defending. Animals know how to make nests. Animals know, a cat will know when to enter your house and drink the milk. So animals are good in their own abilities, in their own areas. But humans have the ability to seek something higher. Therefore, the Vedanta Sutra says, Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now that you are a human being, please inquire about higher truths. So this is the first reason why we need to practice spiritual life, because we can practice. We have got a chance. Human life is an opportunity to explore this. So this is the first. Second, connected to this, is that, as I told you in the beginning, we are deathless. We don't die. And we can connect to the deathless reality, the eternal reality as human beings because of our evolved consciousness. So this is the reason why we need to practice spiritual path. And most importantly, when we practice spiritual life, we realize the solutions to the problems that we face in this world cannot be got from this world. If you see, for so many thousands and thousands of years, human beings are trying to solve problems. But our solutions create bigger problems than the original problem many times. Our lives are getting more and more complicated. Like Albert Einstein, he said this beautiful statement that if you are trying to solve a problem from the same space as where you created the problem, and you're repeatedly doing that, that means you are insane. Insanity is repeating the same thing again and again, hoping to get a different result. So in this world, we see, we had a problem. Like, let's say we had a problem of walking. People had to walk long distances. So then they created automobiles, cars. So the problem was solved. But now we have environmental issues, pollution issues, thanks to the carbon dioxide emitted. So now this solution has created a bigger problem than the original problem. The original problem was a walking problem. Now we have a breathing problem. So our solutions in this world, they create a bigger problem than the original problem when we lack wisdom. Like Isaac Asimov, who is an American science fiction writer, he made a beautiful statement. He said the tragedy of modern times is science is getting knowledge. Science is gathering knowledge faster than the society is gathering wisdom. So we are unable to see the temporariness of everything of this world. And that's the biggest drawback and lacuna in our lives. So therefore, let us seek a higher solution, a transcendental solution. For this is the reason why we need to practice spiritual life, because we can do it and we have the potential. And if we don't tap this higher power, then our attempts to solve the problems of this world will create more complications in our lives. I remember I was a student of economics, and for 7 years I studied actually. And I remember during my post-graduation, we had to study a lot of economic models. And most of these models, and we had to write one answer for almost 45 minutes on one model. Like, for example, Lewis model of employment. So we had to make a presentation on that. And generally, only half a page would be about the model's main premise. And the next 40 minutes, we would be explaining the limitations of that model. Every economic model had its limitations, and the limitations were discussed more. So this has been going on for centuries. People are trying to get a perfect solution for all problems, but that doesn't happen. So therefore, we need to explore a solution beyond the realm of our ordinary existence. And that is possible in the human form of life. And that is spirituality. So these are the three topics. What is spirituality? Spirituality means exploring an eternal space, exploring a life beyond the temporariness. That is spirituality. And what is not spirituality is a life of extremism. And thirdly, why should we practice spirituality? Because we are human beings and we are not animals. And we have an evolved consciousness. And if we don't explore this, then the solutions that we create in our lives would create bigger problems than original problems. So these are the three topics we have discussed. Now we will discuss the two remaining topics. what are the benefits of a spiritual path? Let's say you have a spiritual practice. Every day you spend 1 hour, 2 hours on spiritual practices. You will experience many, many benefits. I would like to share 3 things. Now, this is assuming that you have a disciplined spiritual practice. Then the first thing the first advantage you will have, the first benefit you will get is you will get an aerial view towards your own life, which means you will have more self-awareness. Right now, I'm in the middle of a problem and I'm overwhelmed. But when I practice spiritual life, I'm able to separate myself from my problems and I'm able to see myself. Oh, this is the problem Raj Bihari is going through. Just like if you go on a helicopter, like if you're on the battlefield with a gun, you're fighting an enemy. But when you enter an helicopter and you get into the sky, then you can see the battlefield more clearly. Similarly, I'm in the middle of my issues. I'm not able to see the bigger picture. But when I practice spiritual life, especially when I do meditation and chanting, you will experience this. You will experience that you are going higher from the plane of your battlefield. And you can see your life from that vision. And that gives you greater control, greater clarity. So this is the first benefit you will get, an aerial view towards your life. And second, very interesting benefit is you'll be able to perform your responsibility with a certain kind of detachment. Detachment doesn't mean chhod do, kya karna hai. That is not detachment. Detached responsibility means, this is what Arjuna was taught by Krishna in the Gita. Do your duties, but don't be attached to results. Because when we get attached, we become fearful, we become anxious, we go through stress. But when we are detached and we're still able to give our best, we are able to achieve much greater results. Detached responsibility is one of the most immediate benefits of a spiritual path. Otherwise, if you see, especially those who are leaders, and if you see many leaders who are successful in this world, they have this quality of detachment. Otherwise, like for example, if there is some great political national leader, for example, and if he is leading and if everybody is criticizing him and still he is able to be peaceful, that means he's detached. Sometimes we get so affected by somebody making a comment about us. On a WhatsApp message, if somebody has, you don't see the blue tick. If your message has not been acknowledged or read, you get anxious. Or if somebody has not liked your post on Facebook, we become stressed. And there are people, so that is the level of our attachments. But to be an effective leader, to help thousands of people, if we are only worrying about what people talk about us, we won't be able to get success. And this strength to be detached comes from a spiritual path, because spirituality means connecting to something higher. And connecting to something higher means I'm not affected by the lower things. And when I'm not affected, I'm able to give. Otherwise, our problem is we live in this world and we're only expecting from this world. And the more we expect from this world, the more frustrated we become, because this world has its inherent limitations in making us happy. Therefore, detached responsibility is also another benefit of a spiritual path. And third and most important is a spiritual practice brings you home. It gives you the safety home experience. When you're tired after a long and hard day's work, when you come home and you feel, I'm relieved to come home. This is in the external world. Similarly, in our inner world, when you're going through so much stress, so many problems, and then when you sit down to chant and you practice a spiritual path, you hear discourses, and then you experience the same kind of relief and shelter and safety in the inner world that you also experience on the outer world. Just like in the outer world, we are desperate to come home when we are tired after a long day outside. Similarly, in our inner world, when we practice a spiritual path, we feel we are at home. That gives us a home state or a home experience. So these are the benefits of a spiritual path. And finally, how do we practice spiritual life? Simple. Start observing life. The Bhagavatam says, Pashyan apina pashyati. The biggest tragedy of modern times is people are seeing suffering happening everywhere. They are seeing death everywhere. But still, Pashyan api na pashyati. Still, we don't see the reality of this world. We think I'm not going to die. We think life is going to go on for like this forever. The Mahabharata says, Ani hani bhutani gachanti yamalayam. Sheshastavaram icchanti kimashcharyat punhaparam. Every day, thousands of people are dying, but those who are living, they think they'll never die. This is one of the greatest wonders Yudhishthira Maharaj tells Yaksha in the Mahabharata. Therefore, when we observe life, when we see how this world has been created, and we see death all around us, suffering, old age, disease, with a neutral attitude, with a neutral attitude, when we observe life, we get a spiritual experience. That is the first step you could start. I call it as the Ola method. Ola, OLA. Ola taxis are very popular in Mumbai. So O is for observing without judgment. Just observe. Observe life around you. See how things are changing, how seasons change. When you observe without judgment, you are able to separate yourself from this world. And that gives you spiritual experience. Second step is listen. Listen to scriptures, which means reading scriptures, wisdom from wisdom literatures. Like there are so many amazing personalities on YouTube we find who are giving wisdom talks. I have my own friends like Gaur Gopal Das or Amar Leela, Amarendra Prabhu, who is going to come tomorrow to address all of us. So there are so many beautiful speakers. Listening to them, reading Bhagavad Gita, reading scriptures, all comes in the category of listen, which means just like if you love your lover, you will listen to the person, right? Similarly, when we love God or when we have a spiritual aspiration, we will listen when we are hearing class, when we are reading, when we are talking to someone, all the time we will be listening. That means we'll be attentive. So this is the second step. And third is ask questions, not in a challenging mode, but genuinely ask questions. Who am I? What is happening? Ke ami, kene amar, jara tapatre. Our scriptures explain. When Sanatana Goswami met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he asked this first question: who am I? Why am I going through suffering in this world? What is death? Gautam Buddha asked these questions as Prince Siddhartha. He asked, what is this? Why is this man dying? What is old age? So the more we ask profound, deep questions in a mood of humble inquiry, not in a mood of challenge, we will certainly embark on a spiritual journey. And most importantly, we need to have good association. Like I can see here, I can see Sangeet Sinhaji is here, Abhishek Patil, I can see Vrushank, Anta Rao, so many Jigar is here, Vipul Agarwal, Rasparayan Prabhu, all of them, they're all very senior devotees. And those of you who are new in ISKCON, you will see that they are all experienced professionals here who are working in the outside world. And if you get their association, you will learn to cope with your worldly issues by their guidance and also learn how to balance your life with the spiritual practice, because that's what they are doing effectively. So if we do this, our lives would be successful. We would be able to blossom to our real nature. So these are the 5 topics I briefly discussed. I'm also going to take questions now, and we're going to churn this more for the next, I've got another 15, 20 minutes. But the 5 topics we briefly discussed today are: what exactly is spirituality? Spiritual life means exploring a life of eternity, something that doesn't end with this body. That is spirituality. And what is not spirituality? Spirituality is not a life of extremes, where either in the name of spirituality we reject all material and worldly responsibilities, or in the name of absorbing ourselves in worldly responsibilities, we ignore the undying dimension of our lives. That are the 2 topics. And the third was why we need to practice spiritual life. Because we are human beings. We are not meant simply for eating, sleeping, sex life, and depending like the animals. We can evolve, we can grow higher, we can explore this potential that humans have. because humans, although they are tiny and puny compared to many animals, still they have controlled all the animals, and we have control over many aspects of this planet Earth, which means humans have great potential. And also, we need to practice spiritual life, because if we don't have a spiritual dimension to our lives, we will create solutions that will create bigger problems than the original problem. And the fourth topic we discussed was, what are the benefits of a spiritual path? And we discussed the first benefit is we'll get an aerial view towards our life. We'll be able to see our life from a higher dimension. Secondly, we'll be able to practice our responsibility in a detached fashion, which means we'll be more effective and more strong. And third, we will experience a safe home feeling. And in that same safe home experience or a space, we'll be able to feel loved by the universe, and we'll feel a sense of belonging with the Lord. These are the three benefits of practicing a spiritual path. And the last, the fifth topic we discussed was, how do we practice spiritual life? And for that, we discussed observe without judgment. And secondly, listen. And third, we discussed asking the right questions. And finally, associating with like-minded people. So these are the 5 topics I briefly discussed. Now I would like to have some questions and discussions. And I see one question right in front of me by Hina. Prabhuji, how do we detach from material world? Wow. Why do you want to be detached? Our philosophy is not to be detached. We want to be attached to a spiritual path. We want to be attached to a higher reality. When we are attached to a higher reality, we automatically become detached from the lower reality. See, sometimes what happens in the name of detachment, we become irresponsible. And sometimes in the name of responsibility, we become attached. Both are bad. So therefore, instead of focusing on being detached from the world, see, we can never become detached, because the more we focus on detachment is negative. Oh, I don't want to be attached. I don't want to be. I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't want this. The detachment it's not healthy. What is healthy is a positive attachment to something higher. Just like, I'll give a simple example. A child is eating unhealthy food. Let's say the child is eating some mud from the street. So the child is constantly told, don't eat that, don't do this, don't eat that. It is bad for you. He'll again keep going to that. But once you feed him pineapple butter halwa, tasty pineapple butter halwa, then he gets a higher taste. And then you tell him, don't eat that rotten, stale pav or roti that has been lying for so many days. Then you don't even have to tell him to be detached from that, because you've given him a higher attachment, a higher taste. So the best way to be detached from this world is by being attached to something higher. So in our Krishna consciousness ISKCON, we have this chanting of Hare Krishna. So when we sit like this and we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. When we have a regular practice of chanting and also hearing, we get a higher taste. And that taste helps us say no to the lower pleasures of this world. Otherwise, we will get more and more entangled in this world, and there is no end to our suffering. But does that answer your question, Hina?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can I ask one question?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. This is the first time I'm attending your lecture. I'm really feeling very blessed. Prabhuji, the question is कि जब हम साधना करते हैं, so the chanting is more beneficial, the chanting meditation is more beneficial, or the simple meditation when we sit with our closed eyes? Because as previously I was initiated with the simple meditation with Shambhavi Mahamudra, so even that was quite effective for meditation, and now I'm into bhakti, so I've started practicing this. So Prabhuji, please, I'm just in a middle path and I'm a bit confused, what is the right thing to do, although the chanting is helping me a lot, but please guide me, like Prabhuji, should I leave one thing and go for the second one, or should I go for both the things? Thank you,
Okay.
Prabhuji. That's my question.
I can suggest that you can do both. I can see Jigar has raised his hand. But before we call for Jigar, I would like to answer this question Mataji has asked. Yes, so what we can do both. And I'll tell you how to do both. Now, I'll tell you what I do because I have a hectic day. And, sometimes my day is so packed and I hardly get time to relax. And then when I sit down to chant my japa, which is the most important meditation, my mind is still running because I had been having such an intense day. So when I sit down to chant Hare Krishna, also my mind keeps wandering. Then what do? I keep my beat bag aside. I sit for 3 minutes. I have a mobile phone. I put an alarm for 3.5 minutes. And I sit like this and I do some breathing meditation. I inhale to the count of 4. And then I exhale to the count of 4. And when I'm doing that, I just try to listen to the breath, the sound of the breath, which is very, very soft, subtle. Slowly, the smile on your face, in a relaxed posture, sitting in grace, you just do for 3.5 minutes. And then when the alarm goes off, you open your eyes, you feel such a calmness. And then I sit down to chant. I'm able to chant very nicely, my rounds. Or sometimes early in the morning, I go for a walk, although walking is not allowed now. But, I begged the police while I put my mask and there's nobody in the morning. So once the police wala caught me, I begged him. I said, sir, please, अरे दिन भर मंदिर में रहते हैं, थोड़ा तो इधर walk करने तो कोई नहीं है, please let me walk. But then the police wala felt compassion on me, said, ठीक है महाराज आप करो. Suicide मत करना. लोग बहुत frustrated है, हम जानते हैं. So people are frustrated staying indoors. So I get relief when I go out, look at the ocean, and then I come back and I chant. I become more focused. So the point is, yena kena prakarena manah Krishna niveshayat. So the answer to your question is, whatever it takes to concentrate your mind on Krishna, do that. If your meditation is helping you concentrate better on Krishna, do that. If journal writing helps you to concentrate better on Krishna, do that. So our focus is, our goal is anukula se sankalpa, pratikula se varjana. Accept whatever is favorable for our connection with God and reject that which is not favorable for our connection with God. So, so this is the answer to your question. Is that okay, Mataji?
Yeah, Prabhuji, amazing answer. Thank you so much. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we have a few questions from Prashant Ji, Sangeet Sinha and Jigar. First, I would like to take from Jigar. I see his hand. Then after Jigar, we'll take Sangeet Sinha's question, then Prashant Bahalkar, and then Milind Sonamne. Yes, Jigar Ji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for a wonderful class and reassuring us that spiritual life can give us all of us, and for that we don't have to get detached, but we need to attach ourselves in the right path. Prabhuji, you mentioned about the great personalities or the leaders who are principally very strong and they are doing for good for the society and for everyone, for their self also. And while explaining that, you have mentioned about how they are not affected by the criticism. And they are taking, they've chosen one path and they are running on that path, or they are walking on the path for the benefit of all. But my question is, Prabhu, sometimes, most of the time, for me at least, it happens that whenever we decide something and we try to follow that, there will be a certain criticism or certain things. And most of the time we take your message, which is very right, but in the adverse way. That we should not, लोग तो कहते रहेंगे, उनका सुनने का नहीं, कुछ करने का नहीं, अपने हिसाब से करने का जो सही है वो लोग बोलते रहेंगे वैसे. So how to understand that when we to take a pause and if many people are saying something, then definitely there will be something good or some principle is there. But because I am in some different zone, I may not be able to concentrate or take the positive opinion about me, which the others are saying, which may be good for me. So how to understand that, and what is the line that we need to think that किसी का नहीं सुनने का और कभी सुनने का, basically, if I'm making the point.
Yeah, we need to have at least 1 or 2 close friends. Those who are grahasthas, you have your partner with whom you can bounce off ideas, topics. Like I was, with one grahastha, one of my very close friends, he told me that he bounces off all his ideas and plans and proposals with his wife. Every day they talk at least for half an hour in the evening after he comes back from office. They share. And then when they talk, they both get another amazing perspective from the other person. And because there is trust in the relationship, they're able to open-minded and accept. Because sometimes, we have a mole in the nose, the whole world can see it, but I can't see it. But your best friend will show you the mirror and you can see it. So Jigar, the answer to your question is, we need to have at least 1 or 2 close friends who are our genuine well-wishers and who will tell us when we are wrong, who will not simply be our yes men. So therefore, when I said we don't, we have to be strong and not be affected, that was in the context of getting confused. See, there are 3 levels: clarity, control, and confusion. Those who live a life of sattva guna, those who practice spirituality, they have clarity. And those who are totally disconnected from spiritual path, they are confused. And in between, there are people who want control. They are in rajoguna. Control is rajoguna, passion. So when we have clarity, or when we think, I know what to do, and we think we are spiritual, and we become control freaks in the name of being spiritual and being principle-centered. Therefore, we need close friends who will help us show the mirror and who will give us clarity. Otherwise, we will be living in the extreme of control and confusion, and we will create problems to others' lives also. So simply being confident and daring is not a courage. Actual courage is the humility and willingness to listen to feedback and corrections given by others. Just like we say it is bravery to stand up and speak the truth and do the right thing, it is also bravery to keep quiet and listen to the good points told by others. So the whole entire thing boils down to sincerity and attitude. When you have the right attitude, when you have the right spirit, you will get answers from others and you will be guided by the universe for right actions. So that ultimately it boils down to our sincerity. Is that okay, Jigar?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, so now we'll take Sangeet Sinhaji's question, then Prashant, and then Milind Sonamne. Yes, Sangeet Sinhaji, I see your question. Hare Krishna, I have started feeling get rid of all material things, but practically it's not becoming possible. Please suggest. So I suggest don't get rid of material things because it's not practically possible. That's simple as that. Because getting rid of material things means running away, and you cannot run away from material things. It will come wherever you go in this entire world. Material world is made of matter. The more you run away from matter, the more it will chase you. It's like you're running, but aap jidhar bhi jao wahi hai. It's like in the movies they show this man is running away from the gundas, dakus. He's running, he's looking back, अरे इधर से पीछा कर रहे हैं, सब जगह भाग रहा है, आगे जाता है, आगे भी वही लोग हैं, राइट में भी वही लोग हैं. You can't run away. So the best thing to do is spend every day at least 1 hour to 2 hours on spiritual activity, chanting, hearing Bhagavatam class, associating with devotees, worshipping Krishna, reading Bhagavad Gita, meditation. All these activities, if you do, then you will become like a boat which will remain in the water, but the water will not enter the boat. Our problem is, we are trying to get away out of this ocean of material world. We can't get out. We have to be in this world, but we can't allow the world to affect us. Just like a boat is in the water, but the water is not inside the boat. Similarly, we have to be in this world, but we can't allow the world to affect us. And that can happen only if we have a healthy, regular, daily spiritual practice. So that is the entire basis of Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada wanted us, he encouraged us to have a daily habit. So my answer to your question, Sangeet Sinhaji, is please chant every day, minimum of 8 rounds or 6 rounds of Hare Krishna, hear Bhagavatam class and see how things fall in place for you. Okay, Sangeet Sinhaji, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Prashant Halkarji, I can see your question. Do we neglect the problems of the material world, especially in such troubling times that the mind is distracted by all the problems? Yes, so at the beginning of today's class, I mentioned how extreme is bad. Extremism is not spirituality. We can't neglect the problems of this material world, especially now during COVID times. We have to be careful, we have to be alert, but we have to be careful of getting carried away by the news. See, there's a lot of negativity. And thanks to the TRP greed, the news channels only will show bad things. And humans have a weakness for sensation and trouble. So these news will always be shown because the news channels know that people will buy this news. So my understanding is during these troubling times, focus yourself and live in the space of healing, live in the space of positivity. Now, what I mean by this is, see, you have a choice, either be an instrument of positive change or be an instrument of negativity and panic. Now, this is the time when the entire country has to be united and one together. Like when last year, America in April 2020 was going through crazy kind of deaths, the American Air Force and military was entering into houses and picking up dead bodies. But India and many countries did not sensationalize it. They were empathizing. But now suddenly India's problem, the Indian politicians themselves are sensationalizing, what to speak of the world media. We like to dig our own grave. We like to do politics over everything. This is the time when the whole country has to be united. So we have to be positive, hopeful, fight this battle. But unfortunately, all these problems distract us and our lower nature comes out. So my understanding is don't neglect the problems, but know that this problem will go, another problem will come. Material world, there is no end to problems. You think if you solve this problem, then life will be peaceful, then you're in big illusion because something else will come up. Every year, something is happening in this world. Every day, something is happening. So we have to do the needful for our problems, but we also need to understand that, we have to understand that this world is itself a problem. See, the difference between an atheist and a devotee is, an atheist person thinks that, oh, this world has a little bit of problems, I will solve those problems, and then I will be all right. But devotee knows this world is itself a problem. So what he does the needful to do and to do good things and leave behind a good legacy. But his business is to get out of this world. This world, it treats like a bridge. You don't live in the bridge. You use the bridge to cross over. So we cross over from this world to the other worldly, spiritual realm of existence. So therefore, don't neglect the problems, but don't drown yourself in the problems, because this world is like a daldal, quicksand. You will get entangled more and more, and there is no end to it. Because I'll give a simple example. आपके घर में प्रशांत जी, आपका लैपटॉप अगर पूरा उसका it gets conked off, and if you are not a hardware specialist, and if you pull out all the wires and start repairing it, what will happen to your laptop? You will create a bigger problem than the original problem that laptop was in. If you don't know cooking and you enter your kitchen and you start trying something, your kitchen will be a bigger mess than originally it was. If your tap in the bathroom starts leaking and your sink is in a mess and you don't know how to repair all of that, and you have not called a plumber and you try to yourself do something, you will create a bigger mess in the bathroom than it was earlier. So the problem here is lack of knowledge. And in that lack of knowledge, when we try to solve a problem, that solution creates a bigger problem than the original problem. Therefore, what we need is knowledge. Ignorance is the problem. And the knowledge comes from a spiritual path, from a space of self-awareness. So my humble request to you is don't get too much absorbed in the problems of this world, because there is no end to the problem. So do the needful, do what you can, but move on. So this is my answer to your question, Prashantji. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Now there is a question from Milinda ji and then Shweta. Yes, Milind?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can you hear me?
Yes, Milind. Loud and clear.
Okay, great. Simple question. Is it fair at the core conscience level, is it fair to bear material desires while you're trying to walk the path of spirituality? Are they not conflicting?
No, not at all. See, material desires will be there as long as we have this body. When we get this body, we have the desires. To deny them is to suppress them, will only create a volcanic eruption of desires in an unhealthy way. So, Srila Prabhupada is a genius. Srila Prabhupada has given us an amazing formula. Okay. Now, please listen to this. This could be the most important answer you have ever heard in your life. Because generally, people think spiritual life means material desires have to be completely not existing. My simple understanding of Prabhupada is, it's not possible. Once one sannyasi told Srila Prabhupada, he was a grahastha, then he had taken sannyas. He was telling Srila Prabhupada was a sannyasi, elderly man, he was 75. So the sannyasi said, Prabhupada, I'm so bad, I'm a sannyasi. But last night, my wife was coming in my dream again and again, and I was having these desires. So he was like kind of crying, it was very embarrassing for him. And Srila Prabhupada just dismissed it. He said, it's okay. Even my wife came in my dream last night. Don't think too much about it. So does that mean we become shameless then? Go to the other extreme and just have more and more material desires? No. So there are two extremes. One is shamelessly only fulfill material desires. That is one extreme. The other extreme is no material desires, no material desires. That will lead to hypocrisy. And the first will become shamelessness. So when we engage and fulfill our material desires blindly, we become shameless. And when we suppress our natural desires, we become hypocrites. Which both are bad, right? You agree, Milind? Both hypocrisy and shamelessness is bad. So what is the solution? So Srila Prabhupada gave a very simple solution. Srila Prabhupada said, we love Krishna. So you go to Krishna and take permission from Krishna. Then Srila Prabhupada gave an example. He said, when I was a young small boy, when I was 3-year-old, 4-year-old, I would take my mother's permission for everything. Even when I had to go to pass water to the bathroom, I would tell my mother, I want to go. Mother would say, go, who is stopping you? Why do you ask everything? But then Srila Prabhupada says in that lecture, the nature of a living entity is to take permission from higher authority. So when you want to fulfill your desire, you take permission from Krishna. Krishna, please, I have this desire. Please let me fulfill this in an honorable way. Please give me the strength to overcome this eventually and completely love you. But right now I have this desire. I cannot overcome it on my own. Like Dhruva Maharaj was a pure devotee of Krishna. He is mentioned in Bhagavatam, but he had a material desire and he went to Krishna. Let Krishna purify that desire. You cannot remove that desire. So this is the way to take care of it. But unfortunately, what happens? Many people go to the other extreme. Oh, I'll just enjoy. See, enjoying your material desires is not a problem. The problem is when you enjoy it in a mood that this is the best. See, if we are humble and we fulfill our desires humbly, saying that, kya kare, ye desire hai, thoda pura kar raha hu, Krishna, please help me, Krishna. In this mood, if we fulfill the desire, it is okay. But if we think this is it, then that is dangerous, because nunam pramatta kurute vikarma yat indraya pritaya apranoti. The Bhagavatam says that when we start enjoying our activity of fulfilling desires, that enjoyment makes you mad. Pramatta, nunam pramatta. Like, Srila Prabhupada gave an example that when he saw in Kolkata, one man in the slaughterhouse was, the murgi, they were killing chicken. So this man had a small boy, baby, his child, young son. And this child was feeling uncomfortable. And this man was cutting the throat of this chicken in the slaughterhouse. And he was laughing. And he was showing it to his son. The son was crying. So Prabhupada said, I saw that. And I could see how this man is not only doing something bad, but he's enjoying it. So Srila Prabhupada said that enjoyment is worse. Okay, abhi you are not able to control your meat eating. You're really sincere. And it is not good for spiritual life, but you have this desire. So you are like humbly telling Krishna, sorry, but I have this desire. And then you are humble about it. And you take permission from Krishna and you allow Krishna to purify your heart. And in a very honorable way, you are doing it. That is better than either being hypocrite or being shamelessly justifying your material desires. To answer your question, please don't justify your material desires and don't be shameless about it. And don't suppress them and become a hypocrite. Better to fulfill it in an honorable way by taking permission from Krishna and return and report to Krishna and be Krishna conscious. Is that okay, Milind?
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. And last question we'll take from Shweta. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. How to be content though one is blessed, but still dissatisfaction keeps coming and remains? Wow, this is a beautiful question. Actually, this is an amazing question, because this is one of the most common phenomenon in this world today. People are overall dissatisfied. Sab kuch diya hai Bhagavan ne. You know why this dissatisfaction is happening nowadays? It is because we are living in an overstimulated environment. We are always wanting to be stimulated. Humko action chahiye. Recently, last year, they did a research before the COVID thing. 10-year-old to 70-year-old, men and women were given two options. What would you prefer? First option, sit alone in a room with window and balcony facing the forest and lake, relax, but you are alone with your thoughts. That is one option. Second option, you will get a mild electric shock. Guess what 90% of people chose? The second option. People want to be stimulated. That's why constantly checking WhatsApp, constantly on the electronic gadgets, multitasking. This all leads to decision fatigue, switching costs. The mind is constantly cluttered. It's always dissatisfied. So the best way to remain contented is learn to increase the movement of alpha waves in your brain. See the brain, there are 5 brain waves. This is not a class on brain waves now, but the basics I'm telling you, there is gamma, beta, alpha, theta, and delta. So the gamma is hyperactivity. It's at above 40 hertz, the brain waves, when you get some insight or some amazing thing. But generally, most of us are beta waves are active, alert, and awake. So right now, the beta waves are moving. It's at the optimal, 7 hertz to 40 hertz, hyperactive. But the negative fallout of very high optimal amount of beta waves in our brain is it leads to stress. We're constantly working, active. It is dangerous. So therefore, there is also the third level. We have the alpha waves, which is, a state of relaxed awareness. Do you know that the best amount of learning and absorption happens when you are in a relaxed state? So therefore, if you want to be more satisfied, although you are blessed, you have every reason to be satisfied, then you start first being relaxed. And in that relaxed state, just write gratitude journal. Krishna, I want to thank you for the following gifts that you have given me in the last 24 hours. So last 24 hours, what happened? Thank you, Krishna. Today lunch was great. Today my mom cooked this for me. So I'm so grateful to you, Krishna. Thank you. Second, I want to really thank you because today evening I got to attend one very nice lecture on Bhagavad Gita. Third, today one of my very old friends from college contacted me and she gave me this and we spoke like this. Thank you, Krishna. This is called as fresh gratitude. So thank Krishna for the gift that you have got in the last 24 hours and you will see you are satisfied. Because the problem is we are blessed, but we don't remember the blessings because our mind is occupied with all the stimulants, all the electronic gadgets, the Facebook, WhatsApp. It makes us distracted. So the problem is not, the dissatisfaction is coming from distraction. So if we want to remain blessed, although we are blessed, but we're disconnected from that blessing because we are distracted. So therefore, let us spend some time in a relaxed awareness where we spend time with ourselves, writing gratitude journal, chanting Hare Krishna. This way our lives would be more peaceful. Is that okay, Shweta ji?
Thank you, Prabhuji. This is Ruchir.
Oh, Ruchir, thank you. Thank you very much for your question. Hare Krishna. I'm so happy to spend time with all of you today and very grateful to you for asking such beautiful questions. We'll again surely meet sometime. Hare Krishna.